It's been a long time since I did one of these. When was the last one? 4 years, really? Huh. Well, you kids get off. Greetings, viewers! Night here, welcoming you to the latest character profile. The first one I ever made was on Live Digimon, and the subject of this profile is one that was rather popular in the 2000s. BlackWarGreymon. Okay, for a little context, BWG is basically a recolor of WarGreymon, a uniform evolution stage of the Agumon evolution line that takes the form of a Dragon Man clad in armor. Because BWG is normally a virus type, he is seen as the evil variant. Although it can be a vaccine like the regular WarGreymon, but neither type really allies themselves with virus type Digimon due to despising cowardice and foul play. The species has appeared in a multitude of Digimon games, but I feel the most infamous one appeared in the Adventure 2 anime, voiced by Steve, I love the type of woman who can kick my ass, Bloom. There is a bit of context though. After Kenichi Tochi quits being the Digimon Emperor and slowly transitions into becoming one of the new Digidestined, new main enemy of the series appears. A spire Digimon called Arukemon can take on the guise of a human woman, but also use a technique called Spirit Needle to transform old deactivated control spires into her mindless Digimon servants. Originally, she'd use a single control spire to create an evil Digimon, but eventually she would use more strands of air, use more control spires to create powerful ultimate level Digimon like an Okuamon. However, these creatures would always end up being destroyed, and not even hordes of mind-controlled bug Digimon could defeat this new Digidestined. Then, Arukemon got an idea. An awful idea. Arukemon got a wonderfully awful idea. She would use 100 control spires to create a Digimon so powerful that not only could it destroy the Digidestined, but the digital world itself. And thus, all of those control spires combined to form a BlackWarGreymon. At first, BWG seems to be as mindless as Arukeimon's other creations, taking out all the kids' Digimon without a single word. But when ordered to destroy the digital world, he actually speaks and says he won't, stating that if Arukemon was so weak that she needed to create him to overcome her enemies, then she doesn't really have any power over him and flies off. Somehow, the combination of all those spires allowed BWG to become just as sapient as any Digimon born from a Digi-Egg, allowing him to have his own will and set of principles. Despite being a virus type, he doesn't see himself as an enemy of the Digidestined, but he also doesn't view Arukemon or Memimon as allies. His only desire is to understand why he exists at all, after defeating so many other Digimon in battle, fails to fill the emptiness he feels inside himself. I kinda feel Toei went in this direction because the Pokemon movie gave Mewtwo the origin of being created by Team Rocket, but had a greater purpose for its existence, despite it being intended to be nothing more than a fighting machine. It probably wasn't the primary intention, but considering how Mewtwo came out in the States before Digimon Adventure 2, as well as the pair having angsty personalities born of existential crisis, I can understand why people would consider BWG to be a Digimon version of Mewtwo from the anime. Desire to understand why he exists at all allows BWG to feel some form of apathy for a tiny flower, showing that he's quite philosophical when he isn't in the throes of combat, and he's even willing to talk to Agumon when he encounters him in a desert. Unfortunately for the rookie, everything BWG wishes to debate is a little beyond him, like the existence of a heart, a soul, and even the concept of friendship. Despite having his more reasonable moments, when BWG gets irritated, he is legit terrifying and prone to lashing out at anyone who's unwise enough to get his attention, attacking Arukemon and Memimon at least twice. He also threatens to kill Agumon if the offer of friendship doesn't prove beneficial, and later Kodihita when the boy refuses to let him destroy one of the Destiny Stones. It doesn't help that the madder he gets, the more destructive he becomes. Destiny Stones are a whole thing in of themselves. Apparently they protect the very fabric of the digital world, and destroying any of them could very well threaten it with absolute destruction. I bring this up because it's very important to BWG's lore, or character development. Whichever. After he destroys one, BWG spots the vision of a rather dragony looking Digimon emerging from it, and determines that this creature is an opponent he's been seeking all this time. So maybe if he destroys all of the Destiny Stones, he'll finally get an opponent worthy of him. Because why not? This highlights another trait of BWG's personality. his stubbornness. It goes to such an extreme that by the time all the Digidestined Digimon have reached a new level of power to the point that they can actually put up a fight against him and are actually able to damage him to the point that his shield is destroyed and oil is spurting out of wounds, he is still determined to carry out what he feels his destiny is, even if he's destroyed by his opponents in combat, or if his body just flat out fails to keep functioning. He doesn't get to destroy the stone, but he does get to meet the Digimon he's been seeking, the Sovereign Azulongmon. Rather than fight, Azulongmon gets BWD to see reason, and then they get determined to find a new purpose, even if it's meant to be feared and loathed by all simply for existing. He returns when the season shifts over to the real world, and causes our Keimon and Momimon to have an existential crisis of their own, when he questions who created them. He receives his answer when he meets their boss, Oikawa, who reveals that through a combination of his DNA and a bit of data, he was able to create the pair and live vicariously through them, since they had the ability to enter the digital world. A side note, Oikawa is obsessed with the digital world, and desperately wants to go there, so are Keimon and Momimon doing everything in their power to destroy the digital world makes absolutely no sense. With this knowledge, BWG discerns that since he wasn't able to find any answers to his questions in the digital world, that his existence because as a part of our Keimon, who is herself part of a human, he doesn't belong there. Then tries to kill Oikawa because he determines that the man himself is a foreign object. That follows is a throwdown between Imperial Digimon, the original Greymon, and BlackWarGreymon, after which BWD reveals that he wishes they destroyed him because he's still undetermined what his purpose for existing is. Yeah, dude just tried to commit suicide via combat. BWD's second encounter with Oikawa ends rather badly. He sees that something is possessing the man, and it is with such a powerful surge of energy, he actually starts to disintegrate. See that he performs his very last deed, using the last of his days to seal the gateway to the digital world, prevent the evil he sensed within Oikawa from entering. Seeing as he's just a recolor of the regular BlackWarGreymon, BWG in the anime is just BlackWarGreymon's attack animations, recolored and reused. Being a mega, BWG was insanely powerful, able to literally tear through a herd of Mammothmon with ease. Since he is much more powerful than any other Digimon the Digidestined had faced at that point, their Digimon were barely able to put up a fight whenever he appeared, and even when their Digimon had become more powerful, the best they could do was simply damage him, and even then he could still literally swat them aside without much effort. It was only when Imperial Digimon was joined by the much more experienced BlackWarGreymon that he was finally defeated without being destroyed. Know what's funny? The recolor has a recolor. Chaos Greymon, who hasn't appeared outside the Dungeon Crawler Digimon World 2. Wikimon says it's a BlackWarGreymon variant, but come on! It's just BWG with lighter armor and gray shoulder armor. When the X antibody was introduced, BWG was able to evolve further like other Digimon exposed to the antibody. And oh my god! Talk about over-designing a creature! Like Bandai saw how popular the anime made BWG and said, hey, let's make him edgier. Literally! Even longer claws on his arm weapons, made his armor and nose that weren't even bigger and spikier. Even made his shin plates look like they had red menacing eyes. BlackWarGreymon has lived in my mind since I first saw him, and I say this with full sincerity, he was probably my first edgelord. The angsty personality, hesitation / refusal to make friends, being a black-colored version of a previous character, and yet he's a tiny bit deeper than that. He asks the deep, hard-hitting questions. What does it mean to be alive? Why do we feel empathy for others at points? And what are we destined for? The answers to those questions vary from person to person, and what's satisfactory for some may not be satisfactory for others. Personally speaking, I think life is what you make of it. BlackWarGreymon spent his entire life looking for his purpose, and in the end, the value of his life was what he made of it, making a noble sacrifice for the sake of others. This is Night saying thanks for watching, and please share your thoughts with me.